Have you ever noticed how an airport terminal feels like a different dimension at night? The cold blue glow of the flight monitors, the muffled, distorted announcements that you can never quite understand, the smell of stale coffee and jet fuel. It's a place designed for people who are between destinations. But what happens when the destination disappears? My name is Caleb. I was at O'Hare, waiting for a red-eye flight to LAX. Gate B12. I sat down, leaned my head back, and closed my eyes for what felt like 5 seconds. When I opened them, the terminal was silent. Not the quiet of a late night, the silence of a vacuum. The passengers were gone. The TSA agents were gone. Even the humming of the vending machines had stopped. I looked at my boarding pass. The ink was still wet, but the gate number had changed. It didn't say B12 anymore. It said Gate 0. And the final call was echoing from a hallway that wasn't there before. I stood up, my footsteps echoing like gunshots against the polished linoleum. The air felt thin, tasting like ozone and old paper. I walked toward the main concourse, looking for a human face. Anyone. But every shop, the duty-free stores, the newsstands, was empty. The shelves were stocked with magazines, but when I picked one up, the pages were blank. Just white, textured paper. I stepped onto a moving walkway to speed up my pace. That was my first mistake. The walkway didn't end. I watched the gates pass by, B1, B2, B3, but then the numbers started skipping. B98. B104. B500. I tried to step off, but the floor beside the walkway had turned into a dark, liquid void. I was trapped on a moving strip of rubber, heading deeper into a terminal that looked like it was built in 1974. The carpet changed to a nauseating orange and brown pattern. The ceiling height dropped. The walkway accelerated. I wasn't traveling across the airport anymore. I was being delivered. Finally, the walkway spat me out in front of a TSA checkpoint. It was the only place with light, a flickering, sickly yellow neon. Behind the X-ray machine stood a man in a crisp blue uniform. He didn't have a face. He had a radar screen where his features should be, a green line sweeping in a circle, over and over. Sweep. Click. Sweep. Click. Baggage check, he whispered. His voice didn't come from his throat, it came from the overhead speakers. I told him I only had a carry-on. He pointed to my chest. Not that baggage. The other baggage. Suddenly, the X-ray monitor showed my internal organs. But they weren't organs. They were stones. Each one was labeled with a regret. A lie I told. A person I hurt. You're too heavy to board, the radar man said. Unless you leave something behind. He reached out a hand that felt like cold leather and touched my forehead. I felt the memory of my first childhood dog vanish. Just, gone. I felt lighter. He nodded. Proceed to Gate 0. I ran. I didn't look back. I followed the signs for Gate 0, through a tunnel that smelled like rain and old luggage. I finally reached a massive glass wall overlooking the tarmac. I stopped. My breath hitched. There were no runways. No city lights. No horizon. Outside the glass was an infinite, purple-tinted sky filled with floating pieces of other airports. I saw a terminal from London drifting by. I saw a luggage cart from Tokyo floating upward like a balloon. We weren't on the ground. We were in a graveyard of lost places. And then I saw the plane. It wasn't made of metal. It was made of shadows and flickering television static. It was docked at Gate 0. The door was open, and a flight attendant was standing there. She was wearing a uniform from an airline that went bankrupt in the 80s. Her smile was too wide. Her teeth were made of flight ivory. Boarding for the last call, she said. One way only. I looked at my boarding pass again. It was burning my hand. The seat number was 66F. I looked back at the terminal. The radar man was standing at the end of the hallway, watching me. The moving walkways were now bringing more, heavy, people toward the gate. They looked like ghosts, gray-skinned, wide-eyed, clutching bags filled with nothing. I had a choice. Stay in this liminal hell forever, or get on a plane made of static. I stepped onto the plane. The interior was freezing. The seats were covered in old, dusty velvet. I sat in 66F. I looked out the window as the door hissed shut. We didn't take off. The terminal simply dissolved. The airport vanished, leaving us floating in the static. The pilot's voice came over the intercom. It sounded like my own voice, but 40 years older. Welcome aboard. Our flight time is eternity. Please keep your seatbelts fastened. We are expecting heavy turbulence in your subconscious. I didn't land in LAX. I woke up on a bench in a small, regional airport in the middle of nowhere. It was morning. People were rushing past me, complaining about coffee prices and delayed flights. I tried to stand up, but my legs felt like lead. I looked at the flight monitor. My flight, the one from 3 days ago, was listed as arrived. But when I looked in the mirror in the restroom, I didn't see Caleb. I saw a man with no eyes. Just two sweeping green lines on a radar screen. I looked down at my hands. I was wearing a blue TSA vest. I realized then, Gate 0 doesn't just take your memories. It takes your place. The Caleb that landed in LAX isn't me. It's the thing that was waiting at the gate. It has my memories. It has my life. It's hugging my mother right now. And me? I have a job to do. The moving walkway just started humming. A young girl is coming toward me. She looks tired. She's carrying a backpack. She looks like she has a lot of regrets. I reach out my leather-cold hand. Baggage check, I whisper into the speakers. Welcome to Gate 0. You're going to be here a while. Next time your flight is delayed, don't fall asleep. And if you see a gate number that wasn't on your app, keep walking. Subscribe to the Silent Hallway. We're always open. And we never lose your luggage, only your soul.